Word documents.
This meeting is being
PowerPoint.
recorded.
So good morning, everybody. Welcome to our managing your time, how you manage your time effectively. So this is our third session. I'm Antonio Anton, and the coordinator of this project is Tamer. So as you can see, is everything that this lesson is recording for the people that wanted to see the class and in an hour or 2 hours or 5 hours, or in the afternoon, better. Well, we will continue to explaining these fantastic tools. Well, today we will start to another matrix or project to know how you need to deal your time. So first of all, what I'm going to do is to share my screen. Okay, perfect. Now what I'm going to do is to share my my presentation for today. Okay, perfect. So as you can see, can you see my screen? Okay, perfect. So you can see my screen. You wanted to say something because Tamer, I think, is in the meeting. Or please take your microphone, put on, and then say the question. Because while I'm explaining it, I can't see well where you are, or you have any questions in the chat. So let's start. So about the managing your time effectively today. So we will start with the module 3. This is our model is here. So yeah, exactly, that's it. So the module 3. So module 3. Yesterday, I wanted to remind you of some issues that we saw about how you handle your email. These are different strategies. Let me remind you, one of the fantastic ideas that is 2-minute rule, that it consists on every time that you see an email, you see that you can reply it in 2 minutes, so do it. However, if this is not the case, that's in this case, you need to keep it. You need to archive it and archive it, and this is what you have to do to keep it and then continue to. Well, the other issue that we saw, apart from the essentials email, what we saw apart, we started by looking at the matrix related to importance and urgent, whatever it is. Oh, fantastic. Well, today is something new. Today it's a fantastic day to see this module 3. We talk about some very important in your program here, then I make it bigger. But according to our program, for instance, we start by looking for prioritizations. Prioritizations, it will be the 4th topic of today. Also, we focus on procrastinations. Do you tend to procrastinate? What is your prioritization tools? Procrastinating terms is when you put it off. Okay, you delayed things. It's that the idea to understand for today. So let's start by explaining. The module 3, what is called prioritization tools. And here in prioritization tools, we need to explain what is called the priority matrix. A priority matrix. Well, priority matrix for me is fantastic. In the same when it comes to explaining a priority matrix, so we need to understand is you need to make prioritizations, and you need to define which activities must be finished on time, and which activities must be finished later. So this is clear. To some extent, the people today, because smartphone, WhatsApp, social media, when message seen, to some extent we need to respond because we think something that if I didn't, perhaps they thought like this or they thought like that. So you need to take cautions. That is not good thinking like this way, and you need to make to make prioritizations matter to allocate your time more effectively. So that's the idea in terms of this matrix, and to allocate your time more effectively. And this is a matrix here. This is the action or priority matrix that this is divided in two parts. One is the effort and or the impact. Or remember that is different about the other matrix when it comes to measuring what is called the importance and what is called the urgency. There are two variables that they are different. This is different. In this case, we prioritize, we are focusing on what is called urgent and what is called the impact. Okay, so in this case, in terms of effort, in terms of the effort, or here the first variable is impacts and the second variable is the effort. Well, let's start by explaining it. Let's start by explaining what involves this matrix in terms of. So remember that it's very different to the other matrix that which call urgency and importance. Okay, importance and urgency, and here is effort and impact. So what involves impacts and what involves effort? Well, effort I think is very clear. Effort is when someone is very for you, that involves a lot of power. It doesn't involve a lot of energy. So we might set that this is a variable in terms of effort. To some extent depends on the people. There are people that they are very in terms of activity involves a lot of less effort. However, others feel that this effort is higher. So depend on you. Sometimes there are people that are not very they are not very well communicators, or perhaps making a presentation, doing a good performance involves a lot of effort for some of them. However, the other people that they say, well, this is a performance, this is a presentation, for me is very easy. It's a piece of cake to do that. So I can stare, go to the blackboard and introduce myself and move my body language very well. I'm very open. I look at the faces of the people and not higher. I try to hide myself. So depends on the person. So you need to assess yourself if some activities involves more effort than others. And the other variable that is in the other X is impact. The impact, we talk about value. What's the value? Do you believe that this activity task involves a lot of value for you? So value involves, this is like a reward. Think about a reward. When you did it, when you do this activity involves a lot of reward to you, involves a lot of value to you, involves a great quantity of this variable. We talk about money, we talk about, I don't know, grades, in terms you are studying at the uni, so whatever it is. So let's start by explaining let's start by explaining the matrix. So divided into 4 categories. That's the idea. Is called quick wins, what is called fill-ins, what is called thankless tasks, and major projects. So you have to do the first action, the first exercises for today. This the exercise 3 is about trying to, what is your task? I remember that when it comes to tasks in the other exercises, we start to divide our SMART goal into tracks. Okay, you remember the example David example about explaining how you need to about to trying to put in different tasks. That's the example of losing weight in this case, to take care of himself by losing weight and trying to get a good diet and trying to get fit. So this is good idea. Then they decided to their small tasks, well, this task involves try to memorize, for instance, things, go on diet, budgeting vegetables, put a gap in your schedule in order to keep it to do exercises. And for instance, we studied the matrix, the last matrix in terms of what is the in terms of the different variables, the importance and the importance and the urgency, and we classify it. Okay. Well, so let's start by using how do you need to use this variable. So the action priority matrix divided your time. So this is 4 categories. So in terms of a matrix, in terms of the time, this action priority matrix, this is A stand for action, P or for priority, and M for matrix. So they are very, very important in business, especially in business in terms of time management. How do you need to take care on time? You need to take care time. So sometimes it's very important in terms of matrix to maximize this investment that is your time, because time is limited and you need to take into account it. When your time is limited, you can't share all the time in the same part. So it involves to try a good, wise decision to take, well, this is my time. This is my time where I need to dispose. This is my time. I'm going to share it in activities that enables me to take more value. Okay, this is, I think it's understandable to look at, but people to some extent, I don't know, they can't understand very well this part that is very crucial. So there are 4 parts. There are quick wins, there are major projects, there are feelings, and thankless tasks. So let's start by explaining the first one. What you have to do right now, is to think about the complete list of your tasks. So this task you might take from the exercise 2. So it's not necessary to retake. To think about a new list. Perhaps it's a list that accomplishes your goals. Okay, it's a list about your goals, for instance, and then this is the list of the things. Well, the second, we might set that this complete list is done. It's our task, for instance, to accomplish the goals, to accomplish the lifetime goals. Remember, lifetime goals, SMART goals, and then what is called the list. This list task that are very small to accomplish the SMART goal, and then to accomplish what is called lifetime goals. What you just done it that apparently you did it. And then the second point in this case is a score. Score your tasks and effort. It's true that the other matrix try to get to remind you the other matrix in terms of what we saw yesterday. So the matrix, the originally important matrix. So we talk about 1 to 5. Okay, that's the idea. Here we talk at a scale of 1 to 10. Okay, but it's up to you. You want to use 1 to 5 in order to grade it to mark it perfect. However, you decided to have a scale of 1 to 10. For me, is up to you. So in this case, well, we will start by using this score it. So you need to give 1 or 10 to this scale. Then, when you decided your tasks have 10 or 1, you need to put in the quadrants. Okay, quadrants. Yeah. So to some extent, perhaps there are some tasks that they are here, some tasks they are feelings, there are some tasks they are thankless tasks, they are thankless modules. So you feel that your tasks for you are have a lot of impact. Remember, impact is what you receive as reward and involves a lot of effort. Perhaps it's a minor project. However, for you, it's very, very simple to make this effort. However, the impact is very high. It's quickly. In terms of academic, for instance, could be a good example for some people that tend to go to make a presentation very easily. Is that example that I told you before? When it comes to performance, when it comes to make a good presentations, the people are not very fair, are very brave. They are very determined, they are very willing, they are willing to make a good presentation as well. They have not any sort of fear, sure anxiety, whatever it is, and then start to express themselves as with very normal as we were talking to friends or mates or whatever it is. So we might set that here that these people are in this quick wins performance because it involves low effort and however it's a high impact. When you say high impact, we talk about the grades or the assessment of these people in terms of the impact. So this is the example, a SMART goal example. Do you remember this Daniel? I think so. He decided to start a meeting. He decided to start a meeting, and eating better. Decided to walk. Decided to stick to a diet and to lose 15 pounds, 5 pounds in 3 months, or whatever it is. And then we need to define the daily activities. This is a list that accomplishes his goal. Right? Does it sound familiar to you? Buying fresh vegetables, curing his agenda, preparing a good diet, including not many calories. So tasks, then goals, then lifetime goals. Everything is like a chain, okay? And it's connected. When you decided to put your goals, these daily activities, so I put an example of this sort of activity. I cannot put the numbers. Remember here, I need to put 10 or 1 to 10 to grade it from 1 to 10 and the impact of 1 to 10. I try to push in the shush of this guy, Dave, in terms of buying fresh vegetables at the market in daily basis, in terms of the 4. Perhaps you think that it's a very high effort. Well, as for buying fresh vegetables at the market in daily basis, perhaps it's a little effort. It's not very, very massive. But depends on him. If he likes to go to market, perhaps the effort is very, very low. However, to some extent, there are people that don't like going market, hating it. So it depends on high effort. I try to put in myself, I like buying fresh vegetables at the markets. Market here from here, very, very close, short. And I like it. I would say, well, for me, it's not a lot of effort. So I might put for a 3, perhaps, and a 4 or 3. And the impact, we're trying to put in the shoes, in his shoes. So from his perspective, well, I wouldn't say that the impact in trying to buy fresh vegetables at the market in daily basis. So the impact is not, well, perhaps it's in the middle. We have no aware if this is good or she's going to prepare a meal or not. Okay, this is the example that I put that I say you before. When you buy a fresh vegetable and you put it in your fridge and then day off, and well, you need to go to the bin directly because they are off. So that's impact. Well, perhaps here the impact could be not very high because it was 6 or 5, or perhaps it's 4 or 5, well, 6, for instance. I don't know. However, you compare to this 4, the 4 preparing a good diet, including non-mercureless, would be depends on the people. Okay, and depends on the people is like this the same. It involves low effort. When you're preparing a good diet, for instance, is very, very, it's not a long, little effort. Might say that is 3, and the impact is very high, way high when you're preparing a good diet because you are eating it, and perhaps the impact are very high, it's 9, for instance. So these 3, this task will be on quick wins. However, this 1, 3, 6 could be more here, like here. Okay. Suiting his agenda for having free time to work is not effort. Well, we might say that the effort is very, very low. It's not very, we might say that is 1, for instance. And the impact of having this free time to have perhaps is very high. Okay. The same. This is impact is 1 and impact is 1. Okay. So most of them, these activities has to the quick wins. Okay. But I would say it depends on the person. I try to put, if for instance, Daniel think that this activity involves a lot of effort buying fresh vegetable because for any reasons, he doesn't like to going market. We might change it like create effort, perhaps 7, and impact is 6. It will be major projects. It was here major projects. Do you understand? And you understand it. I'm going to come back. Do you understand the way to analyze this? Perfect. So let's start by explaining this activity. When you just define it, this activity is time. I think the recording.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, perfect. And then we will start with the presentation. Perfect. So as I was saying, there are different parts. Okay. So that's the idea in terms of trying to put these activities, these daily activities, in this quadrant. So I think it's great. Well, there are some recommendations here in general. It's an overall recommendations. Give quick wins the highest priority. So you need to focus on it because these activities involves low effort and this is high impact. So in terms of activities, we might focus, for instance, in these activities. Why I'm saying that in this activity? Well, I'm saying the activity because the effort is very tiny. However, impact is maximum. You know. However, when it comes to effort, it involves a lot of effort, but impact are very high, but they are quite good. But you need this, they are different, okay? Because the 4 is maximum. So I'm going to explain it with more detail, okay? But in terms of an overall, we might say that give quick wins to the highest priority. Spend the remaining time on your major projects. It could be the second. This will be in terms of time, but my idea is highest priority. Spend the remaining time in your major projects, and then with you have a remaining time, you need to share in terms of the other activity that it could be to fill in activity. So in terms of time, we might say that you need to focus on it. The second will be major time. You have a limited time, a limit minutes of time, limit hours of time. You need to divide it. First, the maximum is in quick wins. The second, the major projects, and the third, the feelings. So that's the idea to understand it. Okay. Eliminate the less tasks. Spend absolutely zero in this activity. The activities that involves high effort, but it has a lot low impact, forget it. Forget it about it. It's not worth it doing these short activities. And I can ensure that everybody here, including myself, sometimes we spend time for any circumstances, we using these tailless tasks with high effort but low impact. But I'm not to explain you how you need to tackle it. Questions so far? Everything is understandable? Perfect. Quick wins, very quick wins. So let's start. Before starting these explanations, let me show you the exercises for today. The exercises of this day, that you have one exercise about quick wins and the other exercise is procrastination. So I'm going to show you this exercise which says answer the following questions. Set your action priority matrix regarding your task which might accomplish your SMART goals. Okay, it's like you explained. So you need to define your task. How do you manage it? How do you manage it? So defined, when you defined, putting every in the quadrants, you need to determine strategies. So quick wins. I do it. I can do it by doing so or other things. So remember that you need to send me these different strategies. I'm going to explain this, some of these strategies. So this will be very complicated. Well, for me, the third question say, as far as quick wins, this is the first quadrant and very crucial quadrant in terms of time that involves less effort, but however has a lot of impact. What tasks feel or seem high effort, but can actually be completed quickly. So let me know what tasks feel that they are very high for you, high effort, but in terms of you can complete it quickly. So you can use this by using your goals, which for me, would be advisable, very advisable, that you can't get with a plan. And the plan starting with your lifetime goals, continue to your SMART goals, continue proceed with the tasks, and then continue to your what is called the different tasks here, and then putting these tasks in the different matrices. So let's start by explaining what involves quick wins. Quick wins are fantastic, are superb, are outstanding. So because they are very attractive activities. These activities in this case involves little effort and is very important in terms of values. So they combine the two, less effort, however, it has a lot of impact. So they are quite rewarding in terms of it. Here, you need to don't stick to the quick wins and avoiding warm bigger goals and profits. So when it comes to their people, for instance, well, for instance, in terms of sales, we say that quick wins will be little effort. Well, we saw some examples, but an examples in terms of quick wins, it could be, for instance, in terms of sell, could be some seller that spend, well, a little time by making calls. However, they try to get in contact with clients, trying to close by mobile phones, by smartphones, online, or whatever it is. And then, well, it could be very rewarding in terms of it. So is the coaching tip, the strategy that I told you before, find a way to do as many as you can. Okay. You need to do many as you can. You need to focus on it. Identify one to complete daily or weekly. High effort, but it can really complete it. High effort, but it can really be completed quite quickly. Well, so keep in mind this idea in terms, this is sometimes shocking. Sometimes it just feels high effort, but it can really be completed quite quickly. And you might say, well, Antonio, I think it's a misunderstanding. It's a mistake. You talk that every task you need to ask for, according to quick wins, need to be less effort, and however it has a big impact. Not at all. I'm telling that because we talk about the verb here, going to put in red. It feels, it's an emotion, it's an emotions, and I put in red, feels. I'm saying that because there are people that, in terms of meetings, in terms of talk to the clients, for instance, they're afraid for making calls, okay, or booking, trying to meet in an appointment. This is something unreal, indeed. Every people might have a meeting of whatever. Every people might be a good seller. Every people might be a good communicator. Is the only thing. It's a question of trying and take out the phrase, the fears that you are in your mind. Okay, so but some stands when you see as something, a task feels, sometimes tasks feel high for, it's like your mind said to you, well, I need to make 5 phone calls today. However, your mind start talking to you like, well, if you make a call, perhaps the client is going to shout you. If you make a call, perhaps you are going to bother the clients while he or she is working, and perhaps they might hate you, something like that. So this is insane. This is something unrealistic. Is your mind that is working as a negative perspective, and you must obviate your mind and decided to go directly on your task. So keep in mind it. Keep in mind it because it's very important in terms of field, because here we talk about that feels high for, but it's not for. One question. Imagine yourself that this is a machine that the machine said, if you touch this machine, you can't know, well aware what will happen. So the machines, you can predict everything. So it's like you know the future. So imagine, for instance, that everything you do, you never fail. What you will do, I'm going to repeat you. If you are well aware that everything you do, you will never fail, for what reason, for what thing you will start? Good questions. Perhaps you say, oh, I will study strategy now because strategy is very difficult. I will start to study and then I sit my exam and I know that I'm going to pass. I will study with maths. With maths is really difficult. I'm going to study now. I'm going to pass, that's for sure. So it will be fantastic to know that everything that you do, you can get success. So this is something that in terms of fields, the fields high for, okay? So think about it. Think about phone calls, booking and meeting appointments, sometimes that they are they feel high for, but indeed they are not, they involve the high effort. This is as students, what is low effort and high impact. Think about is for you, for instance, what involves very low effort. However, it has a lot of high impact. Here is an example. Sometimes attending a tutorial. Students, for instance, we say a tutorial, it seems in terms of field, perhaps he feels afraid, feels fear, feels whatever. People don't want to communicate with a professor or whatever, or whoever, and they decided to say, well, for me, going to the staff room to talk to her, to talk to him, to tell him about a query, perhaps I'm going to put in, not in trouble, but perhaps I don't know, to bother him or her. So, however, sometimes has high impact. A tutorial review to go to talk to a student, to a professor, or to a lecturer, to talk about, to understand better the knowledge, or perhaps trying to solve a solution, or why. So sometimes it's a quick win. For instance, quick wins part of this action matter. But it's my point of view. You need to. I have no idea about your. It involves a lot of effort or high impact. So at 2:30, perhaps we close. We make a break, and then we will continue. We make a break of between 15 and 20 minutes. And then we retake the class. Okay, I didn't say before, but more or less you take the time according to the plan.
Mhm.
The second idea is major projects. Major projects is different of quick wins. So you need to focus on quick wins, quick wins, quick wins. This is my choice. Low effort but very high impact. Major projects is involves high effort and high impact. So it's very important to pay much attention to major projects, because our working quickly and efficient, it can be very helpful. Perhaps when it comes to important to pay attention. There are a few people that focus too much on quick wins, however, forget the major projects, because in terms of effort, so they said, well, for me, quick wins is better than major projects, but the more prior projects I need to take in account, the more effort I need to invest on it. So that's a good consideration to take. So what's take precautions about sometimes high for tasks? We, to some extent, we avoid getting started on big tasks, distracts. So ensure that when it comes to carry out big tasks, you need to, I don't know, train students. When you wanted to start work studying 7 units or 8 units with a lot of contents. So this is, oh my God, this is massive. I'm going to pass. I'm going to skip this class. I'm going to enroll for other classes because this is too much. So this is not a good recommendations. It's better to break it into small parts. Small part, trying to do in order to do achievable, in order to do doable, is better to cut it in different parts. Try to cut it in different parts, chunks, into double chunks or parts, into easily chunks or easily parts. This is our synonymous, just in case American or English, well, chunks or parts. So think about 30, 90 minutes approximately, and try to divide it into parts and go to these tiny parts, and better that going to a very big effort. Well, in terms of suggestions, in terms of considerations, in terms of the quadrant 2, well, the same before is focus could be very productive, high for but high impact, and it's important to set larger chance of aside larger chance, and then take very teeny chance in terms of larger chance. So avoiding large parts. It's important to, as I said before, in terms of this quadrant, is to consider to break it down in very small parts. It's very small time to cut it in parts. I think 30, 90 minutes. So imagine try to push in issues in material, for instance. There are 9 exercises, which is being cerebral, but I will start with the first unit. So very teeny part, only 30 minutes for today, and then tomorrow. So we'll start with other one. So that's very useful in terms of when it comes very important, high effort and high impact. Try to make the least leisure, than others. That's the point. Then we might focus on fill-ins this year, fill-ins. And fill-ins are very, 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 very low effort, involves low effort, however, has a little impact. So, so it involves little impact, low effort. I might do those exercises. Well, when it comes to low impact and low effort, well, you have an advantage because it's low effort. But as I said before, first will be quick wins, second major progress, and third fill-in. So when you share the time, you have any remnant of time from the major projects or from the quick wins, you need to use in fill-ins. Only when you have time to do so. That's the idea. When you have free time, you can do it. That's the idea. It's not good recommendations starting by using this to solve these activities with impact when impact is low and the effort is low. Only when you need time, you have time to do so. So we are talking about email. Perhaps is the most important example of it. Your email, when you start by replying emails, start responding emails. So this is the good time. This is the better example about as the email. Would you know our email is empty and you need to start to respond, or whatever it is, or you decided to clean it for any circumstances. So recommendations about it is in terms of the fill-ins, this filler task is, well, when you are very lack of energy, it's time to start these activities. When you are in a break, for instance, start doing these activities. 30 minutes gaps between meetings, start doing these activities. So this is an activity that involves low impact but low effort. And finally, hard slogs. Hard slogs or thankless tasks is here. This is the 4 quadrants. And as I said before, is you mustn't do this activity for yourself. You can't avoid, you need to avoid these short activities. And I show you an example about hard slog. A computer program is not working. Something bad is in your computer, and then you try to fix it. And you, instead of talking to the computer survey, you try to make by yourself, trying to fix by yourself. However, it spend a lot of time. And here you need to take in account that your mind sometimes is very obsessive, but you need to say to your mind when you need to stop it. Because your mind says you can't, but think about this is you can has to do with value, and is this you can has to do with effort. Because your mind said that you can, but involves a lot of effort and involves a lot of or less impact. You need to forget it. Try not to stick to your mind. This is my first recommendations in this idea. But your mind is not you. Your mind is a computer. And sometimes you need to use your computer for solving solutions, for making strategies, for solving a problem, and you use it. But your mind is not yourself. Try to differentiate it. Very well. It's therefore avoid it. Hard slog. You need to avoid it. Why? Well, this is a process that involves a lot of energy and produce low returns. So it's not worth it doing it. So what am I do? Well, my proposal, my suggestions is you avoid it or delegate. Perhaps making two smaller parts, if it's not possible, break it in very small chapters or make it more attractive. Because when it comes to see something that is very, very low impact and no low, sometimes it's difficult to someone to be motivated to do it. And well, sometimes you need to change the package and make it more attractive. Finds a way. Well, as I said before, take regular short breaks, break this high effort into a smaller, manageable tasks, bring fun, so try to motivate yourself, try to be focused on, for instance, work from homes, or think about the last question that you may have to do this time, but do you have to do it next time? So perhaps others might do that better than you. Sometimes it's good to outsource it and to delegate it rather than do it by yourself. So take it time when it comes to have tasks, even it's a little the impact in terms of the effort. Also, it involves some reward is including there, but the impact is very, very low. Perhaps good to delegate. Some mate might do that. Some colleagues might do that instead of me, because it involves a lot of effort from the time, and the work for me are not very massive. Okay. Well, it's an example, an exercise. This is an example. It's in the exercise 3 as well here. Apart from the exercise 3, this is the exercises. So this is the exercise 4. So this is one of the exercises. I think it's answer the following questions. The second thread. The 4, I think, is not included in your exercise, but you need to. Okay. So for the people that are attending today, it would be better to respond this question. Okay. There are 7, 10 different 7 tasks, and you need to define, you need to decide which is better in terms of the action priority matrix. If I said, for instance, if I said here in terms of sitting an exam in 2 weeks, which enabled you to get 10 points out of 10, well, it's good to say what you would do. Sitting an exam in 2 weeks, which enables you to get 10 points out of 10. So you think it's difficult or not? Sitting an exam in 2 weeks, which enables you to get 10 points out of 10. Sitting an exam in 2 weeks. Because I don't know. If someone wanted to respond, perfect. If not, well, I will continue to these explanations. But, well, your time, if not, I will help you to do this exercise. Perhaps sitting an exam in 2 weeks involves a great effort for you. And enable to get 10 points out of 10, it's a maximum impact, probably it's a major project. It's here. But depends on you. I don't know if you are very, very intelligent. You have super. And you have a lot of power to involve a higher form. I know people that studied the last day of the exam and then pass. So depends on if it's the case, perhaps it's lower for and have high impact. Or attending an English workshop by getting a certifications. So we might say, well, in this case, I don't know if it involves lower for or not, but perhaps with lower for, it's high impact. Or here, very interesting, and make as you have time to review some difficult questions. This is very, 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 very important. Sometimes you need to say no or not, depends on the mate as well. So someone require our attention in terms of half time. So perhaps involves a lot of effort because it involves a lot of time. There are really, really difficult questions. However, the impact on me is, I don't know what it is. Perhaps it's a great impact because I like this mate. I want it, well, this is my best mate. However, it's not a good relation with this mate. Perhaps it's a thankless task, hard luck. Professor had decided to carry out a review class before the exam. What it is, so obviously it depends. Perhaps for me, you are added to carry out a review. Review is not a lot of effort to go. However, it might be high impact because to some extent, perhaps the professor explains something very important in the exam. You need to go there because sometimes he said or she will say something really important to the exam and it not involves a lot of effort. So this is the idea in terms of making this sort of exercises. No? Participating in class includes a grade of 1.5 points. This is one of my students in tourism, the students, including the participating in class. So I encourage them to participate in class because by doing so, they can get a 1.5. And it involves low effort. However, the impact are really high. Look at this, it's 1.5 points. Okay. So by participating in class, say your what you think, what you are explaining, or what your views, your perspective, or whatever it is. So fantastic. So this is the exercise. This is the exercise 3. Is the exercise 3 in this case. So talk about set your action priority matrix regarding your task, which might must be accomplished, or which might accomplish your SMART goal. So this is the exercises I want you to focus on how you deal with different quadrants of the matrix. Remember that this sort of exercises will be the same here in quick wins. The exercise 1 is the same. But remember, these exercises of the 7th questions that is not in the exercises. So my suggestions is you make a photo. You have the photo for these exercises. I give it better. This is for you. You have your smartphone. So make a photo of it, these exercises, and try to do as well. What do you think? It's more effort or what? I don't see my point. It's my perspective. It's the same when every student might have different questions. It's not it's not just one solution. Is there any alternatives, any options? Depends on you. So to some extent, you say, well, I need you to say, well, involves little for, invest little impact. However, for me, what is vital is explain you for what reason. You say, well, I'm a person that I'm very determined. I'm willing to go with people. I'm very extrovert. I'm very free spirit, or I'm very talkative person. Well, to some extent, you are a talkative person. Well, to some extent, well, I like to talk, but not talkative person. Well, depends on. So, but a very extrovert person. So perhaps it's like the participation in class is not involving a lot of form, and that's occurs very when you know people that like to have no fear to go to make a presentation. Students sometimes say, oh my god, a presentation in English, no, as that says before, I need to focus, and students hide themselves, try to see the notes because they are afraid of walking in public. Well, forget it. A note, forget it. You know, it's not irrational. Okay, it's only on your mind. Okay, so it's not about you, and so forgetting you not it's your mind that is focused on negative aspect and say you need to be higher because you are afraid or something like that. So others perhaps they say participating in class involves a lot of effort. So they are major projects when it comes to participating in class effort, but they are feelings. Okay, so I would say that dealing with this feeling is not a major fraud. So sometimes you need to differentiate what are emotions and what is a reality, because emotion and reality are really different. So I think it's clear. I think it's very, very clear this first point. And then, well, we will start the second point from today. Talking, do you want to say something? They are going to come back to about the matrix. I'm going to come back to my website here. I think so. It's here. Okay, perfect. Okay. Do you want you to ask any questions? No, everything's fine. Perfect. So everything is fine before the break for today. We will focus on other issue that is called procrastination. The question of to procrastinate, you procrastinate yourself or not, is a good question. Think about if you feel like you procrastinate. Procrastinate is not related to be lazy. It's not the idea. Lazy like this cat. Um, Lazy like this cat is different. Okay. So procrastinations is when you put off things and you delayed tasks, and the people tend to do. The idea in this exercise for today is trying to understand if you procrastinate when you tend to procrastinate. You tend to procrastinate. Do you tend to procrastinate? So it could be good questions. People procrastinate for different circumstances. When you put off things, is that you need to do some tasks and you procrastinate it. I put an example very common in selling, in sellers, when you need to making calls with people and they decided to procrastinate it. They're trying to delay, more delays because they want it. In terms of visiting clients, for instance, they need, well, I'm going to stay in office, I'm going to go to the cafe, I'm going to talk to my boss, I'm going to talk to my mate, I'm going to the cafe, make a coffee, I need to print this report. But selling is different. In terms of selling, you don't need to stay a lot of time at the office. You need to be visiting clients. That this is your choice. It's true that it's easier said than done for us when you feel that you're not feel comfortable by selling something because, well, for any circumstances that you don't see as a good seller. Okay, but the same, you learn the abilities, you might be a good seller. So any of us here might be a good seller if you learn the abilities to do it. I think so. So, well, this is procrastinating. Good questions. Do you think that you procrastinate yourself? It's a good question for us. You decided to put off things. Remember, procrastination is not related to for being lazy. No, it's not the same. It's not a lazy person. It's a person that in terms of tasks, they're working. Procrastinate people works a lot. But they're working in areas like this, in these areas. Defenseless tasks with impact are very low and therefore are very high. Or perhaps in areas where the areas like a low effort and low impact. In this area, procrastinations are very, very focused on these areas, feelings and thankless tasks. But never, never, never work in major projects. Perhaps in some major projects, quick wins never. They tend to be afraid of tackling these issues, quick wins. Focusing on thankless tasks or fill-ins. This is the procrastinate personality. So, good question. Think about it. Think about it if you are more comfortable doing different things rather than the activities or tasks that you must do it. So, in terms of procrastinations, signs and symptoms, for these attributes are not the same. A lazy person, for instance, tend to procrastinate, may procrastinate, And a procrastinator may be lazy, but it's not at all. It's not true. For me, a procrastinator is someone that you're really unmotivated. Sometimes you are overwhelmed. So the reason is you entering paralysis and a very defeatist attitude, an attitude that is not a winner attitude, more than winner attitude. It's like say that fear paralyzes. It's true, fear paralyzes. Fear paralyzes you, and you decided to stop it. When you fear, you paralyze. You are stop it. Okay. Sometimes when you need to enter on a project, when you carry out a project, the first start is fear. Okay, and you paralyze. Then you start thinking with the neocortex. The first mind says, remember, is the mind of emotions, and we have three minds. Minds about our ancestors, very ancestral primitive mind about this has to do with breathing. It has to do with our blood can't go to the cells, and the cells need to be fed, but the blood. So this is in this activities is in charge. Is this mind is in charge to do these activities. Without a primitive mind, we are all dead. All of us will be dead without no primitive mind. And then they start with emotion, and emotion is like this because to some extent we work with two: the neocortex and emotional brain. Emotional brain, and that's the idea. Sometimes we work too much with emotional mind, and it leads us problems. So before starting our break, I think in 10 minutes I will start our break. I think so. Let me show you what procrastinators work as many hours in the day, invest a lot of time. As I said before, they are not telling. As I said before, they are not people that focus on lazy activities. And the point is that invest a long time in the wrong task. Is either in this urgent important matrix in terms of low urgency and low importance. They are distractions. Okay, so the procrastinations are focusing on these areas. For instance, low importance, low distractions, perhaps here interruptions as well, but never they never focus on important goals. They never focus on critical activities. They focus on distractions or either distractions or interruptions. Why is it? Well, they don't understand the difference between urgent tasks and important tasks. No? They everything for them are the same tasks. And when they don't feel that motivated, they start putting off. They start delaying these activities. They put in the table and they say, well, I will start tomorrow, or I will start next week. I will start after summer. I will start after Christmas. I will start after the next year. Okay, they postpone these activities. So this is, I'm going to show you these questions before our break. I think in 5 minutes. I think so. We can make our break, and then I will show you some exercises to do it. But before break, I think in 5 minutes we might start with our break. So see you recognize yourself in any of these comments. So this is an exercise to see you see as a procrastinator person. So what I want you to do is make a reflections. It's not necessary to say by yourself. You wanted something private. For me, I want you to respect. Okay. But I think for me, what is important is to make reflections. If this test, these questions makes you a reflections to recognize yourself in this area or not. You can see as a mirror. You reflect yourself as a mirror. You say, "Oh my God, I won't be able to get it done, so why bother?" You say, "I tend to do that." You say, "Yes," okay, or not. For instance, I won't be able to get it all done, so why bother? You say no. Or I've missed the deadline already, so what's the point of even trying? I just take the rap and move on. Okay. So you say yes or no. If you say yes, very bad for you. You say no, fantastic. So I want you to remind you that yes would be very bad for you, and no, in this case, is very positive. The next questions is, I won't do it well, so why bother? Why bother? It's like a fraction that negative aspects. I won't do it well, so why bother? So another question is, another statement is, I'm not in the mood right now. Maybe tomorrow my spirit will be better. I'm not in the mood right now. Maybe tomorrow my spirit will be better. It's like, well, tomorrow will be other day. So I will be very, tomorrow will be another day, which will be, we change to another day. So we'll be perfect. Tomorrow will be different. Perhaps, I don't know. But perhaps tomorrow will be the same. When this is a bad reflection, when you say maybe tomorrow my spirit will be better, because tomorrow perhaps you will be in the not in the mood and you delay the activities. Okay, I will be tomorrow once I got all these things, and I will be tomorrow once I've got all these things out of the way. The same. And when you said that there are so many things to do, I don't have a clue where to start. So the same, you say that perhaps is that you are not very well aware how to make this action priority matrix, or for instance, this action priority matrix that we saw later, that in terms of the action priority matrix or the urgency importance matrix, both of them, they are telling me that I can control it. So before to carry out a test, to test for yourself the procrastination, you procrastinate or not. So I think so it's time to do to a break. Tamer, what do you think? Tamer, break 20 minutes, okay?
Yeah, I think so.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we to off the record, and then in 20 minutes, so we will retake the class for today. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. And in 20 minutes, we will come back. Okay. I'm going to switch off the camera.